So, for my final reflection, I'm going to talk about how the skills I developed in Mr. Ferebee's ELA 10 honors class now affect my life outside of school. So, throughout the course of this class, I think I learned a lot of things. But my single biggest takeaway is probably that literary depth can be found in the most unexpected of places. I tend to notice that a lot more now, I think. And I learned that sometimes that meaning may not have been intentionally put there, but if I trust in Mr. Ferebee, it exists. So even the things one may consider frivolous entertainment can hold a lot of meaning for someone else. It all depends on how you interpret it. Transformice reminds you of an idea from How to Read Literature, and it's the idea of communion. In this game, you see all the mice gathered together, racing towards a block of cheese. It seems mundane on the surface, until you realize that these mice are racing towards their own survival. What happens if they don't get to the cheese in time? There's not always enough to go around. Food is one of the basic building blocks of survival, and yet we force ourselves to compete with each other for it. We are gathered together, and yet we cannot work together for the same cause. It's because mice are selfish, and by extension humans. Why do we need to get to the cheese in the first place? What would happen if we simply decided to go against the system? Left 4 Dead 2 is very similar to the first book I read in this class, which was The Road. In a post-apocalyptic universe, you and your friends/family have to trust in each other to make it out alive. You are each other's world entire, and so when your companion is hurt and needs help, you give it your all to find them a health pack and heal them up. However, you still need to be smart enough to leave the past in the past. When someone close to you has died, you can't stick around to mourn your fallen friend. You have to simply keep going, for your own sake and perhaps the sake of humanity itself. The struggle of survival is a burden you carry alone. I think that Happy Wheels represents the delicate nature of our own mortality. The life and relationships we have built for ourselves can be gone in an instant. Why are humans so fragile? So, League of Legends reminds me of what I learned during the War Literature unit, which was that one man can't face an entire army alone, but one sole man can cause the destruction of his own side. An infantry is only as good as its weakest member, because it takes the combined efforts of many to destroy the enemy nexus. Just as the Spartans marched not as themselves, but as representatives of their country, League of Legends is about cooperating with their team. No matter how good your teammates are, one terrible player can ruin it for everyone. There is a reason that Leonidas let all the men who didn't want to fight go home. So, Minecraft reminds me of the poetry analysis unit. My poem was a song about the futility of life, and I thought that a good part of it was true. We do a lot of things without knowing why, just because they're accepted as normal. Get a job, pay taxes, start a family, buy a house, all part of a very carefully organized, well-functioning society, and there's no wrong about that. However, some people find this necessary cycle tedious. Minecraft represents life at its roots. Survive the night, build a shelter, gather resources, don't die. It's relaxing in its straightforwardness. What is it we seek out of our lives? This game acts as a break from the mundane rhythms of everyday life, and as a return to the days where we dug holes and forgot the sun. Mount Your Friends is a game about trust. So, things like this are probably my biggest takeaway from Mr. Ferebee's class. And to speak seriously, I don't mean just overanalyzing video games. I mean that I feel as if I'll be leaving the class with a bigger world to explore. I learned that there's a ridiculous amount of complexity in the world, like if you would just bother to look for it. It actually makes everything a lot more interesting too, as if all the things that make life worth living are waiting to be discovered. So, like, instead of taking everything at face value, I might stop to think more about why I appreciate the things I do, and like how a bunch of seemingly seemingly minuscule things can be connected to each other in pretty extraordinary ways. But yeah, that's it.